Welcome to the Caravan Show, where we discuss all things caravans. That's right, everything you need to know about caravans, from weights, towing, maintenance, appliances, renovations, buying a caravan, repairs, destinations and reviews. We'll also chat with some Aussie legends, manufacturers, suppliers and of course, people who love caravans. Take it away, Roy.
G'day, it's Roy Wills here from the Caravan Show podcast, and I have with me today Mayor Dean Johnson from the Kimba Regional Council in South Australia. G'day, Dean.
Morning, Roy. How are you today?
Good, mate. Before we start, can you tell our listeners where Kimba region actually is located?
Yeah, certainly. Kimba's located about 450 kilometres northwest of Adelaide. So we're on the iconic Eyre Peninsula, which has some fantastic natural beauty about it. And of course, we're halfway across Australia. So we're the halfway point between Sydney and Perth. So a really great spot to stay for a while. And we also boast the best free camping area in the country.
Well, that's a good start, isn't it? So, Dean, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you a local man?
Yeah, I'm local born and bred. I've been away for some business opportunities and schooling, but I've always returned to Kimba. Kimba's been a huge part of my life. I love the town, I love the community, and I just love living here, and I'm really proud to be representing our town as we move forward.
So how long have you actually been mayor for?
Coming up 6 years now. I've been a councillor since I was about 30, so that's not giving too many clues away, but I'm the wrong side of 50 now.
So you've been doing it for a while, huh?
I have, and local government's certainly been an interesting and it's a passion of mine, and I love representing our community as we go around the country.
We find a lot of the mayors are actually local business people as well. So are you in business, or have you been in business in your region?
That's a great question. Yes, I also own the local IGA, which is a family business, and I'm proud to say it's been in our family for 4 generations now. My kids are in there and running the show. So, yeah, once again, we love supporting the district, and we love giving that service to the communities around, as well as the tourists that come through our town.
Sounds beautiful. So how big actually is the Kimba region?
Kimba District Council is only around 11 or 1,200 head of population. It's a large agricultural centre, so we're probably fairly sparsely populated, but the main thing is our locals are all very passionate people, and we actually head the country for capita per head of population that volunteer. So you can tell our community's really passionate about volunteering and looking after our visitors when they do come to our area.
So that's about 1,500 square miles, or about nearly 4,000 square kilometres in actual landmass. Is that right?
Yeah, that's about right. And the wider Eyre Peninsula, as I mentioned before, is just a fantastic spot to visit. We've got so many attractions, including the Gouldar Ranges to our north. So if you need a camping trip, that is the best place in the country to do it. And of course, our iconic coastal scenery around the peninsula as well. So while you're here, don't just come to Kimba. Come to the region and spend a week or more.
I always love talking to people like you, Dean, that are passionate about their area and about their part of the world. And you're a fair dinkum Aussie, which also goes down well. So tell me a little bit more about your agriculture, or your what makes up the Kimba region. How is that survived by doing what? What is it that you do in your region?
Certainly, look, it is a largely agricultural town. We do have licenses, of course, that support that agriculture, but we're mainly a grain area, so we grow lots of wheat, barley, which is very important for beer making, so we've got to get that one in there, but also some canola and lupins and things as we diversify as well. But of course, farms are getting larger. They're growing more corporate, so there's less people needed to run those farms. So we really need to supplement our income in the area for our retail businesses. So tourism is an obvious thing to do that. And it really works well for us because we're such a welcoming town. We get people come all the time. And if you're curious about it, go on the Wikicamp site. There's lots of positive comments about how welcoming we are. We've got some fantastic attractions in town, including a 3 kilometre or 6 kilometre round trip walking trail that goes up to some statues on our local White Snob. It also goes past the largest water catchment scheme in our state, which is really worth a look, quite impressive. We're really growing our art through the town as well. We have an art prize that runs every second year that lasts for several weeks.
Yes,
really
I was actually going to ask you about that. Bring us back to the people for a moment. So do you have an Indigenous population there, or what makes up the majority of your population?
Yeah, no, we don't have a large Indigenous population, actually. There's many around the peninsula, but not so much in Kimba. We are largely agricultural based, so it's sort of family farms and long-term family businesses in the town, as well as all the support services with health, education, etc.
What about art and craft? Does that play a big role in your area?
Yeah, it certainly does. One of the really exciting things that's happening at the moment is a new venture from about 5 local women that have got together and supported arts and craft businesses. That it's called Workshop 26. They're currently open Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays and Saturdays. So check them for hours, but it's an old tractor sales place that they've converted into a warehouse with these micro businesses inside that anything from handmade soap to fresh nuts and all sorts of food products as well. So it's really exciting, and it's a great way to foster the innovative people that we've got within our community. And it's a really fantastic place to visit. We're getting lots of visitors in there as well.
And you mentioned
further with our art scene, we've also got, of course, our world famous silo art. We believe it's one of the best in Australia. We've also got solar lighting, which lights that up at night. So if you're coming from a look, it's really worth staying and having a look at that lit up at night. It's fantastic. Many murals throughout the town as well, including down at the Rec Reserve, which shows a lot of Kimba's agricultural history, and a fantastic mosaic that's down next to our institute, which took about 3 months of work to put together with locals, guided by a local artist from Port Lincoln. So there's some really great art that's been fostered and brought up through the town. So it's well worth having a look at all of those things.
So you're catering well for the artistic people that want to go out and see some of that. You also mentioned before beer, and of course the vast majority of the people that I've spoken to when they talk about producing alcohol in their region are saying, oh, we're great wine growers. But of course, we also love our beer. So do you have a specialty, a locally produced product, or what are you actually putting out?
Actually, we don't have anything that's produced locally. That is an idea that's popped up several times, so we'll have to get to work on that. But what we do have is an award-winning hotel, which is a piece of architecture all of its own. So it's a fantastic pub. It does fantastic meals from breakfast right through to the evening meals. And we also run a community bus from our free camping area up to the hotel on a couple of nights a week. And Big Red will come down and make sure everyone knows about that. And you can hop on the free bus and come up for a meal at the pub. It's fantastic.
All right, so you've mentioned that you've got free. So tell us about that. You've got free campsites and caravan parks. What have you got by way of facilities for them?
We do. There's a caravan park that's part of the Roadhouse on the edge of town for people who need powered sites. But we do have what's crowned now as Australia's best free camping site. We're really proud of it. They're non-powered sites, so you need to be a little bit self-sufficient, but we do have brand new toilet and shower facilities at the camping site. That includes walking frame showers and also wheelchair access down there, which is really important to our council. We believe we need to cater for people of all abilities, and quite often as they travel through, they're looking for something cost-effective to keep their families safe through the journey. So we're really proud of those facilities we've got. We've got a brand new block going in shortly as well, down the southern end, because we've had to extend a couple of times already onto our free camping area. I've got to say it's been a bit quiet lately with COVID, so we're really looking forward to welcoming everyone back and getting them back into our free camping area and having a look around town.
Yes, I was going to mention that COVID-19 has affected everyone with the restrictions, but we're pushing very heavily that local people should start travelling local. So if you live in South Australia and you haven't been to Kimba, well, you're kind of nuts, because that's where you should be going. It's right on your doorstep. It's not that far out of Adelaide itself. And so if you're travelling within South Australia, here's another place that you can go and see. And you're going to tell us a lot more about what there is to see. And I believe, before I go off the subject, you've also got what you call your Grey Nomads Program. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, it's another exciting project run by locals. The Community Development Group run the program. So in return for 8 hours of voluntary labour, and that can be adjusted to whatever your skill set is. So a lot put the time in down at our local museum, perhaps do some information inputting or help with some machinery and tools down there with fixing up some of the local buildings. So in return for 8 hours of voluntary labour, we give you a week worth of power down at our free camping area, and also pay for the coins for the shower. So you get an absolutely free camping site, and you get to experience some of the local traditions and mix with a lot of the locals as well. It's a real experience, and we have people returning in that program all the time now. We have families that keep coming back and participating in that program. So
it's a good incentive.
Really successful.
Yeah.
And it really is. It really is. And it works both ways. A little bit of free labour to help with the community, and you get to experience the locals as they really are. So it's terrific.
No wonder you have such a good record with volunteers as a ratio in your centre. You're actually encouraging and rewarding people for, well, basically doing the right thing, which is fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, it really is. It's a fantastic program, and like you said, there's benefits on both sides of the equation. It gives visitors a real chance to do something different, and it's of obvious benefit for our community as well. So it's a win-win.
Now, you also mentioned during the course of that conversation a museum. So would you like to tell us more about your museum?
The museum is absolutely a hidden gem. We've got so many buildings down there. There's a local shop, which is real old style. You can go in and remember all those things from years ago. It's really well set up. And there's also the Pioneer House, which is a real take back in time. It was one of the first houses ever built in our district, so it's an old Pioneer House. Hessian roof, of course. The fireplace in there still works, and we light that up occasionally. But it's a real taste of what the pioneers must have gone through to settle Kimba and make it the place that it is today. So it's just fantastic. And we've got many local volunteers that only too happy to show you around and give you a bit of a tour and a talk about what each piece of machinery and everything does as well. So it's a really fantastic place.
So Kimba itself is actually a pioneering town. Started in about 1915, and I believe, ironically, the name Kimba comes from an Aboriginal word meaning bushfire. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah. And I guess we've been lucky over the years. We actually haven't suffered too many bushfires, although it is, it's a part of life with living in rural Australia, of course. And some of our reserves at times do have lightning strikes and similar things that do get away. But yeah, that's the origins of the name Kimba, and it's part of our history.
So tell us more about the town. You've got a museum in town. What else have you got in town for people to see?
Yeah, look, we've got a fantastic butcher shop, which is locally killed meat. The pub that we've mentioned already. We have a fantastic cafe, as well as Eileen's, a new cafe that's only been around for a few years. Workshop 26, I mentioned before. And the big store, which holds our news agency, also does some grocery lines and lots of giftware. And we've got many agricultural support businesses as well, of course. But we've got great medical facilities in town now, a hospital, a school, which is an area school, so that goes from reception right up to year 12. And, of course, the Corey Enright Oval. Corey's a local lad. We've had several AFL footballers come out of Kimba, which is going pretty well for a town of our population. But we're really proud of Corey's effort, and we've named our town oval after him. So any Geelong fans out there, I'm sure they'll want to stop and get a picture by that too.
Good on you. You mentioned the big store, but of course the big question is the big galah. Do you want to tell us about your big galah?
The big galah, you can't come through town without getting a photo at the big galah. It's got new owners for about the last year, and they've really done wonders with the place. They've refreshed and renewed the facilities down there, and it's an iconic photo. We're very proud of our local big galah, even if lots of visitors seem to think it might be me that's the big galah at times. But anyway.
Good on you. And you've got there's lots of other things to see. Tell us a little bit about Secret Rocks.
Secret Rocks, it's another hidden gem of our district. The Reed family out there are conservation people that have done amazing work. And they've actually fenced off several kilometres of the land around there. And it is absolutely fascinating to go out and get a bit of a tour of that and see the changes of keeping some of the kangaroos and emus and those sort of animals away from the smaller animals and let the growth return to a natural state. So it's really well worth a visit. And if you're into nature, I think it's an absolutely must-see.
And, of course, you've got the Gawler Ranges National Park on your doorstep as well, haven't you?
We do. It's really one of the last areas in Australia that's completely untouched, and it's a really natural camping ground, and you could spend weeks out there and still not see everything. So anyone who's into a camping trip with a nice warm fire, it's an absolute must-see. And yes, we're sort of the gateway to the Gawler Ranges, so it's certainly something that you should make sure you do. And for young families, certainly take your kids out and teach them a bit about the natural wildlife that we've got going around our state.
Yes, well, of course, more and more couples are deciding to do the trip. We're not relying on Grey Nomads for travelling around Australia anymore. We've got a lot of young couples taking their families out and about with them, particularly now they've learnt that homeschooling isn't such a bad thing. I mean, I think that's one of the good things that come out of COVID-19 is that people have decided that spending more and more time as a family unit's a big deal. So they want to go places where they can really enjoy themselves as family. And I know a lot of regions are opening up and saying, you know what, we're going to make this more kid-friendly. So not just opening up for the caravanners, not just the Grey Nomads, but we're going to let the families have more things to offer. And things like the Gawler Range National Park is a good example of that. What sort of activities can our listeners expect to be able to undertake in your region? Is there fishing? We know that there's obviously photography that is going to be something spectacular. There's night watching, of course. What other activities do you think they could engage in?
Yeah, look, there's so much through the region. Kimba's an inland town, so we don't have any fishing right here, but we're less than an hour away from some of the most spectacular coastline in the country. So there's lots of fishing and those ocean activities, coastal activities around the region, so that's a must-do. Bird watchers absolutely flock to Kimba. We've got some species that are not seen anywhere else in the country, so there's lots of bird watchers come here, and Lake Gillies, local salt lake, is a great spot to catch some of that wildlife. And you mentioned families and kids before too. We've been very lucky over the last few years to get some fantastic grant funding for our local playground. We've actually built, it's about $500,000 playground. It's all covered, so there's protection from the sun, wind and rain. It's fenced, so it's entirely safe, jumping pillow, and also an all ability section, so anyone with disabilities or wheelchair, there's full access for kids of all abilities to go in there, as well as picnic facilities and tables and chairs and lawn around the area for the families as well. So anyone with kids certainly need to make Kimba a stop and give the kids a break, and I'm sure you won't see them until you call them back to get in the car to move on. That's for sure.
That could be a good thing. How heavily affected has your region been by some of these natural problems? I mean, we've had droughts, we've had floods, we've had fires, all the usual stuff that Australia itself can throw at us, and then of course we've also been affected by COVID-19. So how heavily has this affected your region, Dean?
Yeah, it certainly has affected our region, and drought conditions are extremely tough for rural Australia, as we all know. We have had a couple of lean years, and I've got to say this year's not framing up all that well either, although hopefully there's some late rain that can help us out. But it is tough conditions for rural Australia, so if anyone's feeling the need to visit some regional areas, I would really encourage them to do that. We need your help at the moment. We need visitors. We need people to come out, support our economies. And you mentioned fires as well. Of course, the Secret Rocks area that I was talking about before was hit by huge fires last year, late last year. And it really is tragic, but they've done a great job of rebuilding all of those things. So we really do need the country's support. So get out to the regions and spend a few dollars and support the economies all over the country.
Yeah, of course, that is the big message that we need to get out there. Australians are really an incredible people. We tend to support, and if you have a look at what happened by way of donations for bushfires and so forth, they really put their hands in their pocket and put out, and they gave this willingly, and they weren't getting anything in return. But in fact, we need more than that from you guys. We actually need you to put your hand in your pocket, but not for nothing, not just as a goodwill gesture. Actually get something out of it. Go out there, support our region, spend your money with them. Let's stop all this overseas travel. In fact, you don't even need to do interstate travel. We miss out big time on what's in our backyard. We keep driving past it. We go through it. As Dean has said there before, Kimba's the halfway between Brisbane. Did you say Brisbane and Perth, or Sydney and Perth?
Sydney and Perth, yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
So halfway between Sydney and Perth. So a lot of traffic are going through that, and maybe they're not stopping and spending some time there. It's a long journey. So how about spending just that little bit of extra time in towns like Kimba, and have a look at what they've got to offer, and spend a few bucks there and really help the best way you possibly can. You're not giving for nothing. You're getting something in return, and really helping true Australians, survive in what is still very tough times. Now, Dean, you also have an events calendar, don't you? So you have pretty much something happening every month of the year, as I understand it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, get onto the council website. We've got an events calendar on there, so catch up with the latest events that are happening. Next year, of course, will be a major one for us. It'll be the centenary of our local show, so 100 years, which will be a fantastic celebration. And once again, we've got a really great committee on our show committee. I really do believe it'll be one of the youngest in the country. We've got a heap of teenagers and early 20s people on that committee, so we've got a really young and enthusiastic committee, and next year's going to be a great celebration of 100 years of our local show, so that'll be a great one to get to for sure.
So what sort of events can people expect to be able to see or do? Yeah,
well, there's our art prize that we were talking about before, and that brings art from all over Eyre Peninsula and throughout South Australia into our local institute for a week or two. We also have the Yeltana show jumping event and dressage as well, so that's an equestrian event that's well supported throughout the state. We get riders from all over the state at that. We've got a local motorbike club that's starting up again, supported by the Port Lincoln Motorbike Club. So that's fantastic to watch as well if you're after a few thrills and spills. And yeah, there's just show after show that comes out through Kimba. We're well recognised as being great event coordinators as well. So one thing you can be assured of is you'll be very well fed and watered at any event in Kimba. So get out and experience the events as they happen.
What about some of the other services? I mean, caravanners often need to have service work done on caravans or their cars, and of course they need supplies like gas. Is there 24-hour service stations? Are there places they can get repairs done? What have you got to offer there?
Yeah, we do. There's several businesses throughout town, including auto electricians, which are hard to find at times. So we've got some fantastic local auto electricians. The local roadhouse, it trades fuel 24 hours a day, so you're able to use your credit cards to get fuel overnight, which is a really fantastic service. And yeah, there's several mechanics and crash repairs and all of those things through town also. So just ask a local, they'll put you in the right direction, that's for sure. We've got some fantastic services through town, and I'm sure you won't be lacking for anything.
So gas and that sort of thing is readily available, and you have got these service stations that are open for 24 hours, did you say? Or
yeah, that's right. The food area of that's not open 24 hours, but the fuel is available 24 hours a day with a credit card.
Now, Dan, I'm going to put you on the spot because I do this with everyone, and you're no exception, particularly when you referred to the GLAR before, but yeah, we won't go too deep into that one. But, Dean, we can find lots of information about Kimba region. We can go on Google and we can go on your website and we can get lots of bits of information. But generally speaking, there's always that little bit of local knowledge, that little bit of local know-how or secrets or whatever. Have you got a couple of things you can share with us? Secret places they're not going to readily find, but they're little hidden gems to go and have a look at while they're in the Kimba region.
Yeah, there always are a few, and one I mentioned before was Lake Gillies. It's a huge salt lake just out of town that really is worth stopping for. It's one that lots of visitors often miss. It's not far, it's just out of town, and it's well worth a look. And probably the other one I'd say, which is a little unusual, is our water catchment scheme. I mentioned before that it's the largest in the state. It's a GeoGuard product, which is a rubberised plastic that we've laid down that will catch around 36 million litres of water in a year. So it's a really spectacular site, and it's well worth a look. And hopefully the visitors can bring some rain with them so we can fill those dams up while they're here.
Yeah, I know a few people are good at bringing rain with them, but anyway. Dean, the other question that I was about to ask you, I think you kind of covered there a little bit, but because you were saying that there are no fishing in your area, so those water places you referred to are good for sightseeing, but you can't actually boat or anything on them, can you?
No, that's right. We do have some yabbies and some dams around, but just be careful. Please ask the owners for permission before going yabbying. But some local yabbies are just delicious, I've got to tell you.
Is there farm stays in your area? Because that's becoming it's becoming increasingly popular, the farm stays.
Yeah, they certainly are, and that's something we're working on at the moment. Is some more farm experiences so that you can perhaps connect with local farmers during harvest and seeding in particular. Go out and have a look at those. So although there's not a lot at the moment, there are stays up at Mount Ive, which is just to the north of us. That's well worth a look. But certainly, there's some B&B areas and that in town too. And if you get onto them, I'm sure they'll put you in contact with some local farmers and would be only too happy to show you around.
So, of course, gathering information on centres is a part of caravanning experience. You arrive in town, so I want to find out more of what I can do and where I can go and what the rules and regulations are of the local region. Is there a visitors information centre?
Yes, there is a visitors information centre here at the local council office. So please stop in. We've got plenty of pamphlets and maps and ideas of things to do while you have your stay at Kimba, and I'm sure the local staff here at the council will be only too happy to help you plan your trip and get the most out of your experience while you're in town.
What hours are they open for?
We're open 9 till 5 days a week. So, it's well worth coming in. There's some great information here. Make sure you get in and ask the questions, and we'll also point you to the greater spots to go at the time of year that you're visiting.
So just repeat, where can they get the information? We've got an information centre in town. If they go online, and clearly you guys are up to date with what's happening with technology, because you've got a website, which is what, Dean, sorry? That's right,
kimba.sa.gov.au. There's lots of visitor information on there and tourist attractions and local businesses, all of the information that you'll need. Also, follow Kimba Council on Facebook and Instagram. We've got a great social media crew here that are always posting new events and things to do, so make sure you get online and tick those as well.
So there you go, folks. You're listening to the Mayor, Dean Johnson, in the Kimba Regional Council, and he's saying they want you, they need you. Please, you're going to be more than welcome. They're putting out the welcome mat, and while you're there, there's lots of things to do and lots of things to spend your money on. Dean, you've been absolutely fantastic. I truly appreciate, as I know my listeners do, you taking the time to come and tell us about your region.
Thanks, Roy. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak about our little town, our community on the Eyre Peninsula. It really is. The most important thing we can get out is that you are most welcome back as soon as you possibly can. Please get back to Kimba, get travelling, and we look forward to welcoming you in person.
Good stuff. Thanks a lot, Dean.
No worries, Roy. Thanks for that. That was good.